Hey, happy Thursday. Welcome into the Sweat. I'm Adam Kaufman, the guy waving right here next to me, Tyler Sullivan. If that's not enough, though, there are 4 more dudes here to yell at each other and talk all about football.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a good time.
Sure, yeah.
DK Live, Jeff Ulrich, Reed Fowler, Nolan Kelly from Osmo.com, and Ryan Noonan from the Quant Edge.
Look at that attractive crew. All right, boys, let's start with Thursday night picks for one hell of a game. At least it should be. Chiefs and Chargers. And no, Hunter Henry and Derek Johnson are not going to play tonight, just in case there was any confusion. I know there's a lot of reports out there. They're not going to play. There are a lot of options, though, for these 2 offensive juggernauts. Reed, so who are you going to go with in your captain spot?
I think Jeff looks a little confused. I only saw that clip a few minutes ago. But, yeah, you're not playing Hunter Henry, right?
Looks
not
confused,
at all. Look, Hill is the most attractive one in terms of where his price tag is. He gets that injury discount. We don't know, right? We don't know how long he's going to be out there. We don't know if he's going to be unlimited snaps. But if he's coming off this short week and he's ready to play, I'm going to play him because he is one of the most dynamic guys. If you're fading Tyreek Hill, I think Justin Jackson provides fantastic upside at his price tag as well. He's going to be the workhorse. He had 4 good years at Northwestern. You'd be afraid for a rookie running back to potentially get this workload type role, but he has been there. And look, you're going against a Kansas City defense who ranks 32nd in rush DVOA. So if you want to save him, stack all the Kansas City guys and get some salary relief, then Justin Jackson for me be captain.
Jeff, we're only about 2 minutes in. I did not mean to give you a brain cramp this early, pal.
Hey, joke's on Reed. I'm always confused. So there you go. I like staying with Kansas City in this game. Obviously, they're pretty big home favorites, but I like going to the running back position. I think Damian Williams makes for a fantastic captain's pick in this spot. I think people might be sleeping on just how much upside there could be with him, assuming Spencer Ware is out, and Spencer Ware is doubtful for this game. Damian Williams will get the start, and he's probably going to get most of the snaps. Yeah, Charkandrick West might roll in for a couple, but look, the Chargers not that great at stopping the run. They've also allowed the 5th most receptions to the running back position. Damian Williams is a very skilled receiver out of the backfield. He obviously converted 2 touchdowns last week, and I think in a rainy game with some bad weather, I think you're going to see a lot of short passes to a guy like Damian Williams. So I think getting him in value, and then you can stack all the other big names, I think it makes sense tonight.
All right. Next, the guy with 2 first names. Go.
Stole my Hunter Henry joke. Can I go like Dan Fouts?
Sure. No, LaDainian Tomlinson's eligible. Sure. Yeah, no, he's out tonight. Won't play.
I'm going to go with Tyreek, actually. I think he's had 4 different games of more than 35 DK points this year. LA is 31st in DVOA against wide receiver ones and number 1 in DVOA against tight ends. He obviously has a heel injury with that questionable tag. I expect the ownership to be a little bit lower than he should. But he burned Baltimore for a 50-yarder at the end of the game, and I still think he's got the speed and the upside you need to win your GPPs tonight.
Ryan, what do you think? Captain spot.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Jeff on this one. I think Damian Williams in the captain spot will be the – yeah, I know. He's going to be the chalk play tonight. It's just massive upside for that price. And as Jeff mentioned, basically putting him in there allows you to fit 4 other top-tier players in your lineup. Personally, though, I mean, I want as much Justin Jackson as possible. Do you guys even know who Detrez Newsome and Troy Maine Pope are?
I think you're making
those are pretty good in the preseason. I mean – that's about all I know.
I think those CFL guys that Jeff and I spoke to a few months ago.
Okay, see? All right, well, that's going to be the other active Charger running backs here. So I think they're going to lean on Jackson, very capable as a pass catcher as well. They love to lean on their running backs, both on the ground and through the passing game. Jeff referenced their DVOA stats, and they've struggled in success rate allowed to 32nd on the season, 29th in explosive rate as well. He's just too important to that offense for you to fade him tonight.
I'm uncomfortable with this level of agreement with Jeff at this stage of the show.
I know, it's very, very concerning.
I don't feel good about it.
Generally yield good results.
Let's look at the running back position. Again, I know we've already talked about it, but Melvin Gordon, game time decision like we've highlighted. Jeff Spencer Ware is doubtful, like you said. No matter what you may have heard elsewhere, I mean, you never know.
It's still early.
So do you like Justin Jackson for the Chargers? Maybe Damian Williams for the Chiefs? Or are you thinking about, is there a possibility now that maybe you don't even roster a running back? I don't think that is particularly smart.
I mean, look, if you're not going to roster a running back tonight, you might as well just not play because, I mean, these guys are too cheap and they're in too good positions. And obviously we're assuming Melvin Gordon is out and Spencer Ware is out. And it looks like that's going to be the case. If Melvin Gordon plays, I would personally take a chance because there's just so much upside against the Chiefs defense that just, cedes so many fantasy points to the running back position every week. And Melvin Gordon, obviously a great receiver runner. I also think you could think about using Charkandrick West. It just does not take much to pay off when a guy's $600 in salary or whatever he is. The Chiefs are probably going to work him in a little bit. He's obviously a much riskier play than Damian Williams, but you could even look at a guy like West being that cheap.
Right, Nolan, you're basically looking for a touchdown at this point when you roster somebody like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I personally, I don't like Damian Williams as much as Jackson just because I think the upside isn't as high, but obviously the price point is a lot cheaper. I also don't mind pairing these running backs with the quarterbacks just because I think at least Jackson will probably get some work in the passing game. And obviously these quarterbacks have pretty good floors. So I like both plays. I know at Osmo.com we've got them both highly rated and highly valued. So I totally agree. Play the running backs tonight.
All right, Ryan, which one are you picking?
You play them both, and you really want to make sure that you're super careful because there are 2 D. Williamses on the Chiefs. You want to not plug in Darrell Williams. You want to use Damian, unless you're super sharp and you think that all of a sudden Darrell is going to get a bunch of touches here. But yeah, Damian and Jackson, I think you definitely.
Darrell might be chalky though because everyone's going to click on him accidentally. So.
That's what I'm saying. I'm trying to help people out with something. I feel like that's something you would do, Jeff. So I'm trying to help you out.
In all seriousness, I lost a contest last year to Jeff making that very mistake.
It is a confusing day.
It really is. Different guys, but the same situation. It was not pretty.
Happened.
Reed, what's your final thought on this backfield for both teams?
Yeah, well, the Chiefs have an affinity to do this too with Kareem Hunt last year, right? They had another K Hunt on the team, and some people drafted that guy over Kareem Hunt. So, look, yes, you're playing the running backs. I disagree with Jeff and Noonan here. I think Sharkhandrick West does get the most carries out of this backfield. Bring him in for a reason. Bring him in for a reason. He has a familiarity with this, and I think Damian Williams is a change of pace guy. Like Sharkhandrick West is also that guy. But with Williams, look, when he was with Miami, he only averaged 9 attempts when Ajayi was traded off to Philadelphia and eventually got hurt and lost that backfield to Kenyon Drake, but he didn't perform that much. We don't know, was that Adam Gase doing his Gase-type things where he splits time, or was it that Damian Williams just wasn't a workhorse back? And so his skill set is there, I agree. It's just the usage to me. If I'm going to captain someone, I want to make sure they have a safer floor. And Sharkhandrick West at $800, like these guys said, if you get 10, 20 yards and he falls in the end zone, he's extreme upside. So I'd rather go with West and pass on Williams, the right D. Williams.
All right, Ryan, where can we find some value tonight? Maybe one of your made-up running backs?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, that's not a bad take from Reed there. I mean, they didn't really do much with him last week, but at the same time, there obviously is some familiarity there. So, he's pretty cheap. And again, it's not just what you get there; it's the opportunity cost provided by putting him in the lineup and how that frees salary elsewhere. So, I do think that Sharkhandrick West does open value. Really, we're just looking at price per opportunity and what we project, though. I mean, we have to go back to Justin Jackson. I mean, I just don't think that he's going to be seeing anywhere less than 75%, 80% of the snaps and touches in that backfield, and he's too good to avoid here. Nolan, where are you looking?
Yeah, so I kind of agree on West. I just think he's also probably going to be very active in the passing game, and I think they're just both. Kansas City's just so short at running back depth right now. He's probably going to have to play. So yeah, at that price point, he'll be in a lot of my lineups as well. And then on the Chargers side, Terrell Williams, I think, is probably your best bet if you want to pivot off Keenan Allen. He had an 84% snap share last week, and he seems to be getting a lot more work than Benjamin or Williams right now.
Jeffrey, value?
Yeah, so we mentioned the Newsome guy. I think he's 1,200 or 1,600. He will get a few carries. He's a lot more boom or bust. Obviously, Justin Jackson will project to be the workhorse if Gordon's out and Eckler's already out. The guy I like for value, and I don't like going super cheap tonight. I have Demarcus Robinson. His snap count has increased over the last 4 games. He saw 7 targets last week. He is kind of the de facto number 2 with Sammy Watkins. Chris Connolly, he's playing a lot. The Chiefs don't change his role, though. Robinson has sort of moved into that number 2 role, and he would be the guy who sees the biggest uptick if Tyreek Hill got hurt in game. So if you're fading Hill, I would really make sure to play Robinson.
Reed, anything to add?
Yeah, Geno Smith. No, I'm just kidding. Look, it's Chris Conley, right, for me. I mean, if it's not some of these cheaper guys, I like that Robinson call by Jeff. You want to attack this passing, these receivers on the Chiefs. But Chris Conley, before I think a few weeks ago when he faced the Rams, he had 8 targets, 7 receptions, and 2 touchdowns. And so there is an affinity. There is a proclivity to pass to Chris Conley. With Watkins out, his targets and his red zone targets double when Watkins is out of the split. So, look, this Kansas City secondary now gets Eric Berry back. they're bad against the run, but they're decent in terms of their individual matchups against these receivers. And so I'm a little scared from the Williams guys, as well as Keenan Allen. I think they're in tougher spots, especially going to Arrowhead, one of the toughest places to play. So I'm going to try and stay away from the Chargers pass catchers and just target these Chiefs pass catchers.
All right, well, Reed, we'll keep it with you here quickly for our slate-approved pick. Who do you like in this one?
You got to go with the guy who throws no-look passes. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is one of the best guys to play this season. Looks like that the Chiefs made a good call trading up in the draft for him. So give me Patrick Mahomes.
All right, Nolan?
I'm Mahomes. Give me the guy who has only had less than 25 fantasy points once this year. I just think he's the safest play on the board, and he correlates well with so many of the other plays on the Kansas City side.
Jeff?
I think Damian Williams. I think the people are sleeping on the skill set there, and I think he's really going to pay off for the value.
All right, Ryan, give us that last word.
Justin Jackson.
I like it.
Quick and to the point, too. Appreciate that. All right, much more
Exactly.
football on the way. When we come back, hoops. Stay with us. Meet the experts.
It's your DraftKings Fantasy Flash. I'm Taryn Azak. The Warriors superstar Kevin Durant offered high praise for the Toronto Raptors after watching the powerhouse team knock off the back-to-back defending NBA champs for the second time in less than 2 weeks. Wow. Following Wednesday's loss, Durant said they have champions over there. He went on to say the Raptors aren't a team on the rise, but are a team that is already at the top. This is the first time in 14 years the Raptors won at Oracle Arena. Toronto beat the Warriors without their superstar Kawhi Leonard. Even so, the team dominated the Warriors and managed to sweep the series in the process. Toronto's Kyle Lowry stepped up big after Eason struggled to lead the team without Leonard, pouring in 23 points and adding 12 assists. The Warriors gave the Raptors credit for their performance and realized they weren't matching the intensity the Raptors were playing with. The Raptors are 23-7, sitting comfortably atop the Eastern Conference standings. This was a statement win for Toronto, announcing to the NBA world that they are the real deal.
All right, we are back with a whole new bag of tricks. Time for NBA Chase or Fade with Awesemo.com's Chris Spagnolo, Matt D'Agostino from NBA.com, so Spags and a Dags, plus my brother from another mother, Alex Barutha from RotoWire fame. Gentlemen, hello. We are chasing, we are fading game spreads. Dags, let's start with you, buddy. 4-game slate, best one probably Lakers-Rockets, I'd say.
Yeah, it seems
Houston,
like a safe
5.5-point favorites. So chase or fade the cover?
I'm going to fade the cover. I think the Rockets are headed on a downward spiral right now, and the Lakers are playing some of their best basketball of the season. LA's won 6 of 7. Houston's lost 7 of 10. And while the Lakers' offense is certainly clicking, it's been their defense during this run that's given them the most success. Their 101.4 defensive rating is 3rd in the NBA in this little winning streak they've had. And Houston, already a thin bench with the least minutes per game for a bench in the entire NBA, got a little bit thinner with James Ennis getting hurt in their last game. So they're playing about 8 guys right now, and they just don't seem to be any good rhythm. I like the Lakers to keep this one close, if not win it on the road.
Pretty sure you are the first guest of this show to do his hit in front of a brick wall. Spags.
Yeah, for me, I think I like the Rockets in this matchup. I think they're actually benefited quite a bit from Eric Gordon moving into the starting lineup. You saw Chris Paul a little more unencumbered with the second unit, not playing out there with Harden and Gordon, not having to watch Gordon brick shots in that second unit was pretty helpful for him, it seemed like. So I do like the Rockets here, but I think the Lakers, all the reasons I were just outlined, I think make a lot of sense for why you would want the Lakers in this spot. I don't think the Lakers win, but I think they keep it close enough, so I will fade the cover here.
I'm going to fade commenting. Alex.
Yeah, the loss of James Ennis is pretty significant, but the Lakers are doing really well at defending the things that the Rockets like to do offensively. The Lakers are a top 5 defensive team guarding the rim. They are average at defending the 3 itself, but allow the 8th fewest as a percentage of opponent shots. And they also allow the 9th fewest free throw rate. Those are all things the Rockets like to do. They play that money ball strategy. So I would not be surprised if the Lakers pulled this one out.
All right, good stuff. Clippers down south to face the Spurs. This is a tight one now. San Antonio's a 2.5-point favorite at home, so chase or fade LA covering on the road. Spags.
I think I'm going to chase the Spurs running away with this one, to be honest. The Clippers are kind of swooning at the worst possible time while the Spurs are figuring some of their stuff out. They're giving Rudy Gay more minutes. They're getting the guys with, getting hot with Bryn Forbes. They're kind of looking like a team who's better. than they did in the first part of the year. And the Clippers, I think without Lou Williams, are just a much weaker squad. They just can't get the ball to Montrezl Harrell quite as well. There's a lot of issues on that side. So I'll take the Spurs and the points.
Alex, how are we looking at LA here?
I feel the same way. I mean, Lou Williams was the Clippers' third leading scorer, also a great playmaker for them. That loss is very significant. The Spurs, for all their struggles, are 10-4 at home, and they're becoming comfortable with what their roster is. So yeah, I think the Spurs will be able to capitalize on this and win by more than 2.5 points.
Matt, do you agree?
I do. I think the Clippers are battling these injury woes, and with their schedule, it's just been sluggish lately. They're close to ending a stretch of 17 games where they have not had back-to-back home games at all for the better part of a month or so. They're looking sluggish. San Antonio, while they are on a modest win streak, also have DeMar DeRozan, who had just 5 points in 26 minutes in their last effort against Phoenix. I don't expect him to be held to single digits here tonight.
Dags, are you being held hostage? Blink if you need help.
This is the D'Agostino man cave, brick walls, or it's the Red Sox post-game interview room. I'll let you guys decide.
Yeah, I guess we can go for either one. All right, one more, guys. Mavericks and Phoenix Suns, 6-point dogs, so second leg of a back-to-back for the Mavs as well after a home win against the hapless Hawks. Chase or fade the Suns pulling the upset, Alex?
I'm not expecting an upset here. I mean, the Dallas starters did get plenty of run yesterday, a lot of 30-plus minute workloads, but the Mavericks have one of the best benches in the league, so it doesn't worry me if those guys have to play more. And yeah, Dallas is only 2-9 on the road, but the Suns are just really bad, so that doesn't worry me too much. Phoenix ultimately is just experimenting right now while Dallas is trying to push for the playoffs. I think Dallas will win this one handily.
What's the word in the D'Agostino man cave?
Yeah, Phoenix losers of 10 in a row by an average of 15.5 points. I want to make sure I get these names right. DeAnthony Melton, who has certainly played well lately. Jawan Evans and Troy Daniels combined for 74 minutes in their last game, just to give you an idea of the lineup shuffling that Phoenix is doing lately. And George King, don't forget him. He played 6 minutes. It's a who's who of who are these guys for Phoenix, so I like Dallas to continue to win.
Spags, how about you?
Like any good degenerate will tell you, we shouldn't laugh at Jawan Evans. He was a great Clippers backup guard last year. Won people a lot of money who are just very into bad point guards. But I actually will be the one person here to take the Suns. I think they're looking better with Melton in the lineup. They're going to have Ariza back today. Who knows how much he'll play, but I think his presence will help out a little bit defensively. And you're talking about the Mavericks coming off of a game last night where they were just playing at high pace versus the Hawks. A lot of energy put in that game on Luka's end. He's not in the best shape. I don't know if you guys have noticed. So I think it might be a tough spot today for them. The Suns are going to be ready, and they're not going to win, but they'll keep it close.
Buddy, you got a couple of weeks, but you're really going to have to get some more ornaments up on that tree.
It's tiny. It's a Charlie Brown tree. You can only do so much.
It might be smaller in the dog.
I like it. All right, guys. Good stuff. We'll check back in with you guys in a little bit. NFL over-unders are next after Pat Mayo's tight end rankings.
Tight ends. I have Zach Ertz at number 1.
Shocking.
Chargers, really good against tight ends, and they've shut down Kelsey in the past. It's not like you're going to bench Kelsey, but that's why I went Ertz over Kelsey for 1 and 2. So in I have no one. Out I have Jordan Reed, Mo Alley Cox.
Well, he's been cut.
No, Eric
no,
Swoop.
sorry.
Swoop got cut. So maybe Mo Alley Cox will play. Swaymayev is out. Jonnu Smith out for the year. So Ertz, Kelsey, Ebron, Kittle, Jared Cook has been ranked above Gronk, which I found really surprising.
Yeah, that seems weird.
I would have ranked Gronk above Jared Cook, but this is where Jared Cook lands. Gronk, Njoku, Brait, Hooper, Ian Thomas, Uzma, Vernon Davis, Trey Burton, Evan Ingram. What do you do with Ferkster? Can you play him? I have him at number 20.
No.
I don't have that highest.
I do have a desperation sleeper.
All right, hit me. It's not Ferkster?
No.
Hardly knew her.
PPR only. Blake Jarwin. Only because I said desperation. I saw your face. I prefaced this with desperation. Only because caught every single one of his targets. And if you look at the matchup, they just let the Texans go 14 of 14, I think it was, or 12 or 12. They caught every single target to the tight end and let Griffin actually have a really nice day. Griffin did have a nice game.
How much did that have to do with no Kiki and whoever the hell filled in for him got hurt?
Joe Webb. Joe Webb was playing wide receiver.
Yeah, and then Joe Webb was just in the game.
That was part of the factor, but all of their tight ends, I'm saying all 3 tight ends caught every single pass coming their way. I'm just saying matchup-wise, it was already good to begin with before what the Texans did. Again, desperation, PPR only. 7-7 for Jarwin last week. There's a little bit of a connection start. They've been looking for a tight end option all year.
I would say too, in the exact same vein, and this could very well just be because, the Rams don't often get behind as much as they were on Sunday, but they threw the ball, I think it was 77% of the time, which seems like they'll go back to Todd Gurley in week 15, but Gerald Everett finally played more than 50% of the snaps. He saw 7 targets. And I mean, it's not even that hard to really connect the dots here. McVay's been very open about how much he likes Gerald Everett. They drafted him in the 2nd round last year. So we could be seeing that transition point where Everett now is just the guy who plays a majority of the snaps over Higbee. We did this last week. I don't know where, for you, he would probably still be ahead of Kittle, but is Gronk now in the class of tight ends you would play over Jalen Samuels?
I'd go Ertz, Kelsey, Samuels this week at tight end.
Okay.
I'd go Ebron still.
I just think it's such a great matchup for Samuels that you treat him as such.
I think it's fair.
He's probably like a top 25 play overall this week. Minus quarterbacks, obviously.
All right, thank you, Mayo and company. Let us do some more football. Jeff Ulrich and Reed Fowler from DK Live, plus Quant Edge's Ryan Noonan back with us. According to ESPN's Adam Schefter, guys, Eagles QB Carson Wentz went for an MRI on his back today. That revealed a fractured vertebrae, which sounds incredibly painful.
Yeah,
Safe
fun.
to say he is unlikely to play Sunday night against the Rams. So Nick Foles rides again. Watch out, NFL. Yeesh. All right, Foles under center. Who do you like on the Philly offense, Jeff? Anybody?
Hey, at least Nick Foles can catch Kaufman.
Yikes. Blow on a Thursday, pal.
It's hard to know what to expect. In all seriousness, I mean, this could be a complete dumpster fire for the next 3 games, or he could just get hot and play well. I mean, Nick Foles obviously has upside. I think we all know that by now. And who I'm looking at, especially for the Rams games, I look to the tight ends. I mean, Zach Ertz and even Dallas Goedert. I mean, Foles and Goddard obviously worked together some in the preseason, the first couple games. And the Rams just haven't not been good at guarding the tight end position most of the season. It's probably their weakest area. 4 touchdowns to the position allowed over the last 7 games. Goddard had a good game last week. I think he's an interesting showdown play, but Ertz especially, I could see him getting back on track this week.
Ryan, I know the decor in your place there. I'm going to need you to make your pick, but also defend our honor.
Corey Clement was out of bounds. Still, I mean, he was out of bounds. So they played great, but it is what it is. That wasn't too bad, Jeff. I thought after yesterday we were going to have to hose you down with all your Nick Foles love. That was pretty measured today, but I'm with you. I think Ertz is probably really the only play that I would trust. I mean, we saw what Foles did earlier this year, basically turned back into a pumpkin after such a crazy end of last season. But the Rams' pass defense is on the mend. Aqib Talib is back and healthy. I just don't like much on the outside there. Josh Adams, complete air ball in the passing game. He hasn't seen a target over the last 2 weeks since Darren Sproles returned. And really, even with Clement being lost to IR, that's karma. I really don't trust any of the emerging backs there with Adams, Sproles, and Smallwood. It's going to be negative game script. They're double-digit favorites there on the road. So it's pretty much Ertz or that's it for me.
Reed, who's good, pal?
Yeah, it's going to be Ertz as the only one. Like his target share doesn't really go down with Foles, and I get it. Look, Foles played his little heart out last year, and look, if he does well, if he takes him to the playoffs again and he has a good run, this is the best backup in football history. It's a nice story, but the only person that I'm potentially looking at outside of Ertz and what these guys are saying is Aguilar had some connection with Foles last year. But now with Golden Tate, Aguilar has essentially been a no-show. He has a similar A-dot, obviously takes that position from Aguilar. He'd be one guy, but again, that connection right with Foles and Tate, that's got to be minimal at best. And so Ertz is the only one that I'd be comfortable playing.
All right, well, we'll keep it in the NFC East. Giants wide receiver Odell Beckham Jr. didn't practice for the Giants today. He missed last week's game versus the Redskins because of a quad injury, kind of late there. Saquon Barkley went off, though, 170 yards and a score and an absolute rout, so it really wasn't a big deal for him. But can we expect Barkley to do that again? That seems like a pretty lofty goal against the Titans if Beckham is out, Reed.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, Barkley is matchup proof. I think a lot of us, and again, I'll speak for myself here, I didn't think Barkley, the number 2 overall pick in this year's draft, was worthy, especially with Eli Manning kind of being on the downturn. But Barkley has been matchup proof for the Giants. He's really their only option. If you look at the splits when OBJ is out, their run percentage goes from 34% to 62% when OBJ is not in. So you don't need more evidence to know that Barkley is the only play that you really feel confident in this Giants team. But that run percentage, if they're just going to run the ball and feed this guy more opportunities than he already has, he's in a smash spot. So I know Tennessee is tougher against the run on defense, but this guy's matchup proof.
Yeah, you got to love all that volume, right, Ryan?
Yeah, you just, Rita's talking about it. Just the 25 touch floor is so high, hard to fade. I mean, he's priced up, but again, the volume is really what you want to pay for. I think we'll see a massive workload here. Tennessee on the season has been pretty good. The 29th in success rate allowed over the past 5 weeks, though. And we know Saquon, it only takes a couple for him to really return value. So his work in the passing game raises that floor as well. He's in a great spot here.
Jeff, do you expect him to keep it up?
Well, I mean, you got to give a little bit of credit to Tennessee here. The third fewest fantasy points allowed to the running back position. And Ryan's right. They've been a little bit worse over the last 4 or 5 games. I think the volume, he's going to be fine. I don't think you're going to see a massive 30-point game. I wouldn't be shocked if they hold him to 100 yards rushing and maybe just 4 catches. And he just doesn't find the end zone because that's the way Tennessee plays, a little bit slower. I think if Beckham's out, they're going to be able to stack the boxes even more. And Barkley has not busted against tougher run defense, but he has been a bit more muted. So again, not looking for a 10-point game here, but it wouldn't shock me if you don't see that high explosive game from Barkley this week.
All right, well, the Jets are not going to have their 2 top offensive weapons in terms of the skilled players. Of course, on Saturdays, Isaiah Crowell, Quincy Enunwa, they're both going to be out, already ruled out. So how do you expect Sam Darnold to attack the Texans' D, Ryan?
Imagine that Isaiah Crowell and Quincy Enunwa are your best 2 offensive weapons.
It's a sorry state of affairs, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think their best shot is through the air and deep. I mean, the Jets are going to struggle to sustain drives here on the ground with Elijah McGuire and Trenton Cannon. Houston second in both DVOA against the run and rushing success rate allowed in the season. But Robbie Anderson has the speed to get behind the cornerbacks here. They've allowed some big games of late. We saw, a receiver in similar elk in T.Y. Hilton last week be able to really torch them. They're 28th in explosive pass rate allowed over the last 5 weeks. So really, it's the only Jets shot here. It's going to be deep balls to Robbie Anderson.
Really is a joke. These are the guys we're talking about, but nevertheless, this is the reality of the Jets. Jets. So Jeff, anybody? I mean, anyone good?
No, I mean, it's really their only shot. I think Ryan's right. I mean, you have to like Ryan. And look, I'm going to play a couple like Darnold, Anderson, or I might play. I'm definitely going to play Anderson. Some Darnold, Anderson stacks for Saturday slate. I don't think it's the worst idea because what other chance do they have? I mean, you can't run against Houston. They've allowed the second fewest rush yards per carry of any defense in the league. And Elijah McGuire's banged up. And yeah, Elijah McGuire himself could get a lot, just pay off from a PPR role. I mean, I think that's the other sort of Jets player to target here. But the Jets are going to have to air it out. And then going against them, by the way, the weather's going to be crappy. So it doesn't speak to a lot of points. But Anderson, he's got some potential at the very least. Doesn't mean he's going to pay off. Very boom or bust. But that's the one Jet I would lay my hands on here.
Reed, anything to add?
Yeah, I mean, if you really want to go off the board here, Rashard Matthews, he only played 5 snaps last week, so he doesn't really garner any trust. But if Quincy Enunwa was out, I think he goes into those 3 wide receiver sets. He gets Sharice Wright, most likely, who is giving up a passer rating or rating of 111. So a deep flyer. Houston is 30th per footballoutsiders.com to the right side. And if that's where he lines up, he's a guy that we've seen when he was with Tennessee perform in some spots. And so, again, very deep. In terms of the stacks, Jeff is right. I mean, the only stack that you could foreseeably feel comfortable with is that Robbie Anderson, Sam Darnold stack. But, I mean, just stay away. Stay in the locker room.
Yeah, it seems like a safe bet there. All right, you guys are great. Hang tough like the new kids for a bit. And we got more on Thursday Night Football now and then. Pucks.
What is going on, everyone? I'm Tara Linazak, in with your DraftKings Fantasy Flash. It's Week 15, and tonight's Thursday night game features an AFC showdown between the Chargers and Chiefs at Arrowhead Stadium. Both teams coming off wins and going for the best record in the AFC with 3 games to go. The Chiefs will get a big boost tonight as their defensive leader Eric Berry is expected to play in his first game since Week 1 of last year. His snaps will likely be limited, but Kansas City City has been one of the worst teams against the pass, so Barry's veteran presence will be a much-needed upgrade to the team secondary. Over to the Chargers, where Adam Schefter is reporting it will be challenging for Melvin Gordon to play in tonight's game. The Pro Bowler has missed the last 2 games due to a knee injury. LA will not make their final decision, though, until pre-game warmups, but it sounds like Gordon is on the wrong side of questionable. If Gordon sits, and with Austin Eckler out with a concussion, rookie Justin Jackson is thrust into the starting role for the Chargers. Expect everyone to be involved for the Chargers as they will pull out all the stops to keep up with the Chiefs' high-powered offense.
All right, it's a good Thursday night football matchup on the way and a good night in the NHL as well. 8-game slate to comb through it all. We bring in our own DK Live purveyor of pucks, Ben Zwyman, joining us from home. Benny, all right, time for the Tears of Joy, pal, where you give us your top pick for each category. Tier 1 features plenty of stars. There's Austin Matthews, Connor McDavid among them. Who do you like from this crop?
Yeah, in this tier, give me Captain Jack Eichel with the Sabres at home versus
Captain
the Coyotes.
Jack.
It's a tough call between Eichel and McDavid. Plus, tier 1, a lot of good players, like you said. You're generally not going to be too different on points in there. But Eichel, multi-point outings in each of his past 3 games, 5 of 6. He's over his past 10 games, he's averaging 6.3 DraftKings fantasy points per game, 5.2 shots on goal per game. So really high floor there. Coyotes are going with Darcy Kemper in net. I don't know why. I'm not Rick Tocchet. I would be going with Aiden Hill if I were him. Kemper, fresh off allowing 4 goals to the Bruins in 1 period. So I like that matchup. If you're looking at stacks, Jeff Skinner is line mates in tier 6. Rasmus Ristolainen, defenseman, in tier 8.
All right. Well, tier 2, we have some big names there, like Kucherov and Cam Atkinson. But the hottest name of the bunch, I think, is Steve Stamkos. 7 points in the last 2 games. Do you simply just ride the hot hand here, Ben?
No, yeah, like I'm going against my better judgment. Like you said, Stamkos has been really hot, and he's got the Maple Leafs at home. Little narrative there. But I'm banking on Patrick Laine to end his goal drought at home against the Oilers. Laine hasn't really been scoring lately. I think lineups will be heavy on Stamkos. They'll be heavy on Nikita Kucherov. Laine gives you the best ceiling of any player in this tier, though. He scored 5 goals earlier in the season. His ceiling's a hat trick or more, so you're really getting nice value if his ownership is down. The Oilers have been playing well. They've sort of been playing up in tempo, and they're down Oscar Klefbom, their best defenseman, so they're going to be lacking defensive depth tonight. They're not great forward depth-wise, so I like Laine and how the Jets match up against them. Like Lou Brown said in Major League, I got a hunch he's due.
Yeah, we got the impression,
I like
too.
it. That was pretty good.
We're waiting for the Rachel Phelps. Cross him off, then. All right, things start to open up a bit, unsurprisingly, in Tier 3. John Tavares, most name recognition here, but is he the play tonight against Tampa, you think, Ben?
Nah, Tavares is in there. Braden Point, another big name that people will probably be on. I'm going with Zach Parise of the Wild at home versus the Panthers. This game has track meet written all over it. The Wild just torched the Habs at home. So, yeah, I'm really looking at the Wild to come out and throttle the Panthers. Parise had 3 points against the Habs the other night. The Panthers have been awful lately. 3 straight losses. They've allowed at least 4 goals in each of those losses. They're going with James Reimer tonight instead of Bobby Lou. Reimer on the road, 8.85 save percentage. Not good numbers. The Wild are another team you can easily stack other than tiers 5 and 7, which sort of gets a bunch of players in there. Yeah, you can pretty easily stack this game also. So I would look at that if I were playing tonight.
Yeah, Reimer's a bum.
Yeah, well, yeah, he's not particularly great. All right, you talked about tiers 5 and 7 there. Let's take a look at the rest of the tiers here. Any guys from tiers 4 through 8 that stand out to you as a must-play?
All right, I'm going to go rapid fire here. I'm going
to
go name in each of the rest of the tiers.
Get after
real
it, kid.
Fast.
After it.
Seth Jones, Blue Jackets in tier 4. Elias Pettersson, Canucks at Preds in tier 5. Leon Draisaitl of the Oilers at the Jets in tier 6. Matt Dumba, I told you about the Wild. Matt Dumba, Wild versus Panthers in tier 7. And then tier 8, Darnell Nurse. No Klefbom for the Oilers, so Nurse should play a ton of ice time.
You do have a little bit of time if you want to expand upon any of those. You're welcome to.
Yeah, I mean, Dumba's been great lately. His floor is really high, and like I said, the Wild should score a lot of goals. he should be in there. If you're looking at him in Classic, 5,500, pretty good price. I have a lot of him in Classic. Like I said, Darnell Nurse, Clefbaum, not in there. Darnell Nurse played 30 minutes of ice time the Oilers' last game. That was a win against the Avalanche. The Oilers go off tonight. Darnell Nurse will be in on a lot of those goals. Jets and Oilers, like you got McDavid, you got Laine, you can really stack some scoring in that game. Pettersson is a good GPP play I like in Tier 5. A lot of people will be off of the Canucks on the road against the Preds. So, yeah. And you need any more for me? I could keep going.
No, you've given us plenty of names.
Like
we appreciate that. But what I do need is the most important name, the lock of the night, your slate-approved pick.
All right, slate-approved pick. I'm going with Dumba. I got to go with Dumba. There's no better defenseman to play tonight. Classic, pick him. I think if you're stacking the Wild, which you should be, Dumba's the guy to go with. So, yeah, I'm going to go with him.
Appreciate the dedication to Humphreys, by the way, the framed photo and everything.
Hey, Jay will tell you it's his. He loves the sloth back there, man. I don't know if I pointed to the right shoulder.
That's okay.
We all know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you covered it. It's a Thursday. We're
Okay,
running
cool.
out of gas anyway. Much appreciated, buddy. Coming up next, we're going to jump back into the NFL conversation with splurge or save. But first, I'm going to slide to my left over here. A chat with another guy named Adam with a better beard. All right, let's put that away. Hey, Week 15 in the NFL, already amazing. I say that just to let Adam Levitan know what time of the year it is. I'm Levy's calendar, Adam Kaufman. This is Levitan's Leverage, and, well, we're eyeing the top plays for the weekend. You're looking at Ben Roethlisberger at 6,600. I'm guessing in part because Steelers really need a win. Also, Patriots defense absolutely blows on the road. What are you going for here?
I'm glad you let me know what week it is. I haven't been outside in 3 months, so I'm glad. Yeah, I mean, I know Ben Roethlisberger and the Steelers performed really poorly at Denver, at Oakland. If you follow their history in the Mike Tomlin era, that's somewhat expected now for a 4 p.m. game at home against the Patriots defense, which has been known to let up a lot of yards. I think this is a really good spot to get back on Ben Roethlisberger, and really on this main slate where there's only 11 games and a lot of the best quarterbacks are not on the slate. Ben Roethlisberger, to me, sticks out even at a somewhat elevated price tag.
Joe Mixon, 6,100. He's averaged 20 DK points his last 3 games. This time, Bengals have the Raiders. Oakland, not great, allows nearly 27 fantasy points a game to opposing backs, as well as the second most rushing yards per week. This is just a no-brainer.
Yeah, I mean, the price on Mixon stands out for a guy who we can safely project for 20 to 25 carries and 3 to 5 targets, assuming that the Bengals are still trying to win. And if you watch them play last week, it did look like they're still trying to win. So yeah, Joe Mixon at 6,100, given the matchup, given the spot at home, given his talent level, even with Jeff Driscoll at quarterback, Joe Mixon is going to be one of the most underpriced players on the slate without a doubt.
All right, one more for you. Bills receiver Robert Foster, home against the Lions. He's 4,300, clear number 2 wideout for Buffalo now, but Detroit, pretty good pass defense. Any hesitation?
Yeah, I think they're pretty good against number 1 wideouts, and I think they'll treat Zay Jones as the number 1 wideout and let Darius Slay try to handle Zay Jones, and that will allow Robert Foster, who has 4.41 speed, was a big-time recruit, went to Alabama, will allow Robert Foster to get a lot of routes against these secondary defensive backs, the Lions, who have been so bad. And also Josh Allen's skill set, it fits really well with Robert Foster. I mean, Josh Allen is not an accurate thrower, but he's willing to be aggressive and throw the ball deep, and that is where Robert Foster excels. So I think down at 4,300, we're 1 week late, maybe in terms of ownership on Robert Foster, but still think he's a good play.
Well, Christmas must be coming. It's good to see you finally unpacked.
Yeah, no more boxes.
All right, if you haven't, check out Levitan's Leverage on the DK Playbook. Plenty of info there as well. Thanks, bud.
All right, good luck.
All right, well, gearing up for Week 15 in the NFL.
I can't believe we already got here.
It's crazy.
It's
guys,
nuts.
We have NFL tonight. We also have NFL on Saturday football as well, so adjust those season-long lineups accordingly. And we'll look at Sunday's main slate in a minute, but we do want to bring in the experts here before we hit Splurge or Save. DK Live's Jeff Ulrich, Reed Fowler, and obviously Nolan Kelly of Awesemo.com. But we do have some breaking news in the NFL.
Yeah, we had some pre-recorded Levy there, and in that time got a little bit of a Melvin Gordon update. He tested out the ankle during pregame warmups, reportedly did not get the news he was looking for, and he is expected to be inactive. So guys, just quick reaction to this news. I know we've already spent plenty of time on this game tonight. Some of the Other guys that we think will go out and maybe do something because, of course, Melvin Gordon wasn't really expected to play when we had that last conversation. But now that we have something just a little more concrete, Reed, how does this impact your thinking going in and setting a lineup?
Yeah, just a little correction there. Was his knee, not his ankle.
I'm sorry.
If he has an ankle injury, then he's he's in a bad spot. But
well,
yeah,
even maybe the knee and the ankle. Could be terrible.
Yeah, the leg, right? The leg is
doubly wrong.
Just go lower body.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Look, Justin Jackson, we talked about it, right? He is going to get the bulk of these carries, and I'm not worried about his workload. I think when you look at what you have to do, and if you're in that camp that got one of these two backups, whether it be Eckler or Jackson, now you're swimming in probably top 15, top 20 play in terms of season long. Again, I really like him in terms of my captain spot because of that usage. He will be more chalk with this news coming out. The Gordon potentially playing would have suppressed that a little bit. But yeah, I love Jackson tonight.
Jeff, would you like to do anything other than correct me?
Hey, at least he didn't say Hunter Henry was playing, right, Kaufman?
Yeah, that's a great point.
Ryan Leaf starting.
I mean, look, Justin Jackson's a must play. There's no question about it. I do think I'll say this. I mean, Detrez Newsome is the clear backup right now. I mean, he's not a terrible player. He did flash in preseason. He's not the worst value pick tonight. Again, especially for the showdown slates, you need some. He's probably going to get in there on a few carries. So is he boom or bust? Yeah, but that's more the news I would bring up because right now it's just Justin Jackson. You have to play him.
Nolan, what do you think? Who do you go to?
I echo all those. I think Newsome is intriguing, especially in GPPs, because you never know. He could catch lightning in a bottle early. Maybe he gets hot. We saw Jackson get hot a couple weeks ago and take some of those touches away from Eckler. So that's a definitely viable play. But both those guys suit him up. I wouldn't put him in the same lineup, but definitely use both of them tonight.
All right, well, that's the news coming out of the NFL for the Thursday night game. But now let's look to Sunday now with a little splurge or save. Guys, believe it or not, Russell Wilson, the guy who threw for 72 yards and a pick last week.
Not a lot.
Yeah, no, and he's the highest priced quarterback now on the slate at 6,700. Meanwhile, a guy like Aaron Rodgers, he's pretty good. He's a grand cheaper at 5,700. So, Jeff, are you pocketing the cash? You going to go with Rodgers here, or are you going to ride with Wilson?
Look, especially if you're making multiple GPP lines, I think you have to consider a Rodgers Devontae Adams stack this week. I mean, Devontae Adams has basically been unstoppable all year, and when you have an unstoppable wide receiver one, your quarterback is automatically going to get some points. So, look, the Bears obviously have a very good defense. Their secondary is a little bit banged up. Bryce Callahan to IR this week. They've allowed a few big games. I mean, Brock Osweiler put up 380 and 3 touchdowns against this defense. It can be done. I like low-owned Aaron Rodgers this week, especially in stacks with Devontae Adams.
Reed, how do we feel about it?
Yeah, I never like to pay up for quarterback, but this slate is weird, right? The main slate is weird. We have a lot of high-scoring teams and implied game totals in prime time, just not on the main slate. So I'm gonna have to pay up for Russ here just because that defense, like it made Jared Goff, who's not Aaron Rodgers, look like he did when he was under Jeff Fisher, just not playable at all. And with that being the case, look, I know Rodgers did it the first time around. That was week one. A lot of things have changed. If you look at Russ Wilson, he just played this team in San Francisco a couple weeks ago, and they did pretty well. San Francisco's 25th in pass DVOA. Again, this roster construction this weekend is going to be paramount into how you want to do that. And I think paying up for a guy like Russ, like Tyler, you just mentioned, that's weird paying up for Russ Wilson in this spot. I think it's going to be a contrarian play. But don't mind that contrarian stack with what Jeff was saying.
All right, Nolan, Wilson or Rodgers here?
Yeah, this is actually a really tough question because I'm in the same boat as these guys. I don't like to pay up for quarterback if I can avoid it. Russell Wilson obviously hasn't been rushing this year. Even though he lit up the 49ers with 4 touchdowns 2 weeks ago, he didn't throw for a lot of yards. And then you have Rodgers going up against the number one DVOA and the number one pass DVOA in the NFL, number one against wide receivers. So I think in essence, both these guys are actually contrarian plays. Russell because of his price point and Rodgers because of his matchup. I like Russell a little bit more just because I think you can game stack him with some cheaper wide receivers, and Mullins hasn't been too bad. I expect the 49ers to at least stay in this, keep it close, and there's definitely a little bit more shootout potential in this game.
Guys, only Saquon Barkley is more expensive than Ezekiel Elliott this weekend at the running back position. Cowboys back comes in at $9K, so clearly not cheap. Is he worth rostering at that price, or do you look at someone like Jalen Samuels, let's say, at 5,200, who will for sure be a popular play against New England, Reed?
Yeah, I think this one's tough because, again, sort of harking on the roster construction, if you pay for 2 high-priced studs at running back, I think you're differentiating yourselves from the field. And with Zeke being 9,000, I think if you want to look at Jalen Samuels, he is that lion's share. He's that workhorse guy. And I don't remember who mentioned it yesterday in yesterday's show, but he's still underpriced. I mean, he's a 3-down guy, and he's still underpriced at 5,200. He's going against New England, 20th in DVOA across the board in all sort of statistical categories for the running back. And this game should be a shootout. With Zeke, you love him because he's matchup proof, but Indy does have a really good rush defense per DVOA. They're top 5. And so when you look at that, again, Zeke is matchup proof, and I'm still going to be playing Zeke in a lot of lineups. But in this case, I think there is a place for Jalen Samuels in my lineups because he is that much cheaper, and he's getting a good workload.
Nolan, how about you?
Oh, I'm all in on Elliott this week. I'm splurging. His fantasy point totals in PPR the last few weeks, 39, 35, 28, 25, 24. The Colts have allowed 93 receptions for 717 yards this year to the running back position. That's Falcon-esque like numbers, and Elliott had 13 targets last game. Samuels didn't get the goal line work last game, and he only carried the ball 11 times. So I think the safer play is Elliott, and I don't mind either of them, but if I had to choose, I'd go with Elliott.
Well, safety, no questions, Elliott, but do you take a little bit of a risk here? Splurge or save, Jeff?
I mean, I think the right answer is maybe play both of these guys. I like Samuels. I mean, and nothing against Zeke, obviously, but I do feel like you can pay down at a couple different spots and running backs and get similar upside this week, maybe with a guy like Dalvin Cook. So Samuels offers you a ton of savings. He also gets you really good exposure to the only game on the slate with a game total over 50, on the main slate anyways, with a game total over 50 points. Yes, Samuels had a bit of a muted performance last week, but remember, that was missing without Ben Roethlisberger for a little bit against an opponent with Oakland who just wants to muddy up the games right now. Patriots are high octane offense. They're going to push the pace. I think you're going to see more Samuels, and I just think it's a better opponent for them. So push comes to shove, I think I just pay down with Samuels.
Yeah, I do think that is going to be a popular stack, though. What Jeff was saying is one of these high-priced guys with Jalen Samuels in that 5K range. So again, if you want to differentiate yourself, there are other guys a little bit more expensive, obviously, like Joe Mixon at 6,100 in a prime spot, because that's going to be a popular stack. Because like these guys have mentioned, that usage is going to be high.
Yeah, definitely some interesting stuff there. Next up, we're looking at a couple of receivers who went absolutely bananas last week, and Juju Smith-Schuster and Kenny Stills. Both of them had 8 catches, flirted around 130 yards receiving, while Juju had 2 scores and Stills had 1. I know, it's a very big difference.
It's easy to get lost.
It's crazy. Juju's 8K this weekend, while Stills nearly half that price at 4,300. So which one are you going to go with here, Nolan?
That's a fascinating question, actually, because I don't think a lot of people are going to be on Stills, and he's a really good GPP punt play because he always has like 3 or 4 games a year where he's just like, he hits that home run touchdown pass. So, and he should avoid a matchup with Rhodes this week. So I kind of prefer Stills just at that price point, though obviously this isn't a core play. So you're just going to have to pop him into 1 or 2 lineups in your GPPs as a cost saver. But I don't mind him as a flyer. And then Juju's obviously same kind of conversation as the Elliott. He's a lot safer. He's going to see his targets. He should avoid Gilmore. So both these guys I like a lot, but I would go with Stills for the bargain.
Reed, how do you feel about these receivers?
Yeah, I'm going to pay up. I'm going to spend with Juju here. If you look at just Kenny Stills, right, he is that boom bust, like we were mentioning earlier. Like Nolan, he is the epitome of GPP. If you look at his week 2 after his week 1 performance against Tennessee, where he dropped 26, he got 1.7 points versus the Jets. Same thing after Oakland. He put up 7 against New Orleans, who again doesn't have a very good or didn't have, their secondary wasn't up to snuff at that point. A guy down there at 4,300, if you want to pay down in GPPs only, Curtis Samuel, 19 targets for the last 2 games. I'd much rather play him than Kenny Stills, especially with who's throwing the ball to Kenny Stills, right? I know it's either Tannehill or Brock Osweiler, what have you. I just don't trust that. I'd much rather play Juju and pay up. Although I like AB a little bit more between those two, I'm paying up for Juju in this spot.
Jeff, how do you feel about it?
I don't love either one of these guys, to be honest. So I'd pick Stills. Smith-Schuster's obviously at like a really high point in his price range. Antonio Brown has some really awesome home splits too, and you just figure, he's averaging like over 5 point more DraftKings points per game at home. You just figure that the ball might go towards him, even if he has Gilmore in coverage. They could still double Juju Smith-Schuster. I don't mind Stills because he's been very, very productive with Ryan Tannehill as his quarterback. Almost a touchdown per game, those two. So and if he avoids Xavier Rhodes, he's definitely got the GPP potential. I like Jordy Nelson Taiwan Taylor a little bit more as value picks, but Stills for me between these two would be the choice.
Guys, we've got to be quick with this one, but Rob Gronkowski looks like, well, Gronk last week in Miami, at least statistically anyway. Maybe not so much the play on the field, but 8 catches, 107 yards, and a score. In general, slow year for him. But Reed, would you buy in on that recent performance? Dropped 5,800 on him against Pittsburgh, a team that he has historically done very well against, or are you looking for more value like Vernon Davis, 3,200 playing in place of the injured Jordan Reed?
Yeah, the only tight ends I'm paying up for are guys like Zach Ertz and Kelsey. Gronk has been up and down, obviously unhealthy. Vernon Davis against Jacksonville. Jacksonville gives up 12.7 DK fantasy points to tight end, so I don't mind paying down at tight end. So give me Vernon in this spot.
Jeff?
Gronk's averaging 118 yards against the Steelers over his last 3 games against them, and he scored 4 touchdowns. I still like Davis a little bit better just because I think he's so cheap and he's going to get some usage with Josh Johnson. But I want exposure to both these guys. Unlike the wide receivers, I actually like both these guys. Definitely want to get some Gronk in your Pittsburgh, New England stacks.
Nolan, splurge or save?
Oh, splurge. I want nothing to do with this Washington offense with Johnson against the Jaguars. Obviously, Gronk has lit it up against the Steelers over the past few years. He hasn't had less than 90 yards since 2010, and he had a season-high 8 targets last game. I think the Patriots are desperate, and they're going to have to get him the ball.
All right, good stuff, guys. Thanks a bunch. We'll finish things up with some NBA price check in a moment. Before we do that, though, we'll give the last NFL word to Pat Mayo with his Buffalo Wild Wings hot picks for Thursday Night Football.
Pat Mayo here with your Thursday night hot picks for the Week 15 opener. Chargers, Chiefs, presented by Buffalo Wild Wings. Either you had Derrick Henry last week or you didn't cash. It was that simple. And it's been a similar story all year with the Chiefs on these island showdown slates. Either you have Tyreek Hill or you don't cash. But it's going to be a tough time this time dealing with a foot injury. There's a chance Hill can't go against LA. And if he does, is he going to be 100%? We're not going to know. This is going to keep a lot of people off of him, so I can't say I blame them because there's no safety in it. So just in case Hill is fine and you want exposure, just make Patrick Mahomes your captain and cash in on all those passing touchdowns anyway. If Hill's banged up and the Chargers can slow down Kelsey, Mahomes is going to distribute the ball all over the field, making it incredibly difficult to hammer down who you want as the fringe Chiefs to play. Just by the cow in this situation. For LA, KC's run D is the worst in the league, but the entire backfield is pretty banged up. There can be great leverage to be had once the scenario becomes clearer on the injury report. Because of that, just make the smart choice right now and fire up some Keenan Allen. He's good every week. Why would this week be any different? Those were the Thursday night hot picks for Chargers Chiefs. I'm Pat Mayo.
All right, let's hit some of the interesting salaries in the association now. NBA price check, and to help us with that, we welcome back Chris Spags of Osmo.com, Alex Barutha, RotoWire, and Matt D'Agostino, NBA.com and Turner Sports. Guys, James Harden, far and away most expensive guard in the slate, $10,900. Are you rostering him and his Rockets? Yeah, I mean, they're going to host the Lakers. Alex, is this a good spot where you have to play him?
Playing James Harden necessarily tonight. I'm kind of passing on him, for the reasons I mentioned before. The Lakers are great at guarding exactly what Harden likes to do: threes, shots at the rim, free throws. Ultimately, I would rather just go DeRozan here and save the extra $2,400 with comparable upside.
Spags, what do you think?
I see the points that Alex is making. I think that, to me, the pace up is really where I care about it. Harden's going to be playing in a pacier game. He's got about a 37% usage rate over the past few games. Again, we talked about the lineup changes up front with Eric Gordon starting lineup. I think that benefits him as well. So overall, I think it's a great spot for Harden, and I actually see him, Chris Paul, and Gordon having some decent days today versus the Lakers.
Your dog's wagging its tail, likes the play. Dags, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't think you need Harden. I think if you roster him, I think he could get you round value of what you need him to get tonight. But I'll also agree DeMar DeRozan is probably a better play, saving almost $2,500 off of that. He's well rested, having played just 26 minutes in their last game, coming off his season low, as I mentioned earlier. I think he's motivated in what will be a close game against the Clippers tonight. So I'd rather go DeRozan and be able to pay up elsewhere.
Looking at Phoenix now, Devin Booker's out again for the Suns, and we referenced this guy a little bit earlier in the show. DeAnthony Melton, he has been working out just fine for him, actually, in his absence. A 27 DK point average in that time when he's out. He's only 4,900 against Dallas. Is he worth the play here, Spags?
I think Melton is. We haven't projected for 66% ownership right now at Awesemo.com, so he's going to be the most popular guy in the slate by far if he's anywhere even close to that. But I think he's worth it. He's just been great, getting a lot of peripherals, very active on the floor with steals, assists, rebounds, kind of doing all the things you want. There's nobody in that roster who's pushing him for minutes either. I think it just fits him well. This matchup versus Dallas, again, a little bit tired going against Atlanta last night. It all kind of grades out well for Melton, so I'm not afraid of him. I'll ride with the chalk tonight.
Alex?
Yeah, I have to completely agree here. I mean, he's averaging 35 DraftKings points over the past 2 games. He's essentially blowout proof as far as minutes are concerned. Ultimately, I'm surprised the price isn't higher, and he's going to be chalky. I mean, across the board, cash, GPP, but I think you can just eat the chalk in this case, save the extra money, get the roster flexibility.
Matt, do you agree with that? Because he's so chalky, but you have to play him?
Yeah, I think I ate chalk as a kid, and I remember it didn't take
Didn't we all?
Correctly. But no, I think he's just a guy, anytime with a lower salary like that, you can plug in a guy and not have to worry about him. I think it's great for all the mentions the other guy, for all the reasons the other guys mentioned. The minutes are going to be there. The production has been there. Plug him in and spend big elsewhere.
As a kid, must be code for that one time in college, because I was there.
Oh, okay.
I saw it. I remember happening.
Is that what they call it nowadays?
Big chalk eater, this guy. All right, sticking with that game, guys, but other side. Dirk Nowitzki finally going to play. He's going to make his season debut tonight. It'd be wise, clearly, before rostering him to see what he looks like, and I don't even know, once you do see what he looks like, that you're going to be compelled to roster him at any point. But does a guy like Luka Doncic at 7,700 become at all less attractive as Dirk possibly slows down that offense a little bit, Tags?
I don't really think so. I think the back-to-back concerns me a little bit more, but Doncic played really well, and he's in this stretch. Don't doubt a motivating factor. He played against Trae Young, the guy he was traded for on draft night, their last game. He's going to be going up against DeAndre Ayton, the number 1 overall pick, who Doncic thought he was deserving of that spot. And then he's got Marvin Bagley, the number 2 overall pick in Dallas's next game. So don't doubt the motivation of trying to prove everybody wrong that maybe you should have been picked ahead of those guys. So I'm fine with Doncic at 7,700.
Spags, you going to take that nice long stroll down Narrative Street too?
I mean, he's going against his former coach too on the Suns. I think it's interesting, but Doncic's prices up is not where I want him to be. And I think the reason too, yesterday he pushed usage up a little bit higher. He had a big game. I don't think he's going to see that much usage tonight. I think that's really the issue with Dirk coming back. He's going to lose a few shots. Maybe it kind of comes out in the wash with a little more assist upside with the spacing that Dirk creates. But the price up is really the issue for me with Luka. And he's been consistent, but not consistently high upside enough. So I'll avoid him tonight, but not for Dirk reasons.
Dirk is old enough to be his dad. I just wanted to mention, I don't think it really impacts anything. I felt like I should mention that. Alex, what do you think?
Yeah, Luka's fine here. I mean, he's been one of the best cash game plays, I mean, really in the entire league as far as having a high floor is concerned. With Dirk coming back, we're not exactly sure how many minutes he's going to get. He might get 8, he might get 12. I would be more concerned about some of the front court players for Dallas. Maybe Harrison Barnes drops a few minutes here, especially coming off the back-to-back. Maxi Kleber and Dorian Finney-Smith aren't guys you would generally play, but they might lose minutes as well. So if anybody, I think Harrison Barnes might take a few hits minutes-wise, but Luka, overall, I think he's fine.
All right, guys, now hit us with your slate-approved picks here. Matt, you can start us off, and you can give us a little explanation why.
I think it's Nikola Vucevic for me. He's just a guy who has been great. I think the last couple games, he's only had 38.5 DraftKings points in each game, so I'm hoping ownership would be a little bit lower than most nights, but the number I'm most concentrating on is 29, and that's what the Bulls are defensive efficiency against opposing centers. So Vuce has been playing at an all-star level this year, 13 games of at least 20 points and 10 rebounds. I expect it'll be number 14 on the season for him tonight against Chicago.
All right, a little quicker now. Alex, who do we like?
I'll make it real quick because I also have Nikola Vucevic. He's averaging 1.5 fantasy points per minute. Chicago Bulls are really bad. The over-under isn't appealing, but we know he has 50 point, 60 fantasy point upside.
All right, Spags, put a bow on it.
So it's probably Melton just because of the fact that he's so cheap and everybody's going to be playing him. But I'll go a little more creative. Go Kyle Kuzma. 6 straight games over 40 straight points, over 40 fantasy points rather. Nobody wants to play him because his price is a little too high. I think that's the spot where you want him. He's going to be under 20% ownership probably. Great upside for Kyle Kuzma. I like him a lot.
I'm just glad we got a game that's worth watching tonight in that Lakers-Rockets game. That should be fun. Outside of those others, we'll see how they play out. Gentlemen, thank you very much for your time. Always a pleasure. Spags, Craig Sender says hello. All right, listen, this show, it is 6 to 7 Eastern every single day. Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, Twitter.
All of them.
You can find us all over.
Even the
Sweat
apps
has
that
a
aren't even made yet.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's all
gonna
over
be
the
on
place.
there.
We're very inventive, and the Sweat, of course, has a Twitter account that I encourage you to go check out. We're going to continue to post pieces of our interview with Chad Pennington of the Jets as well. And, of course, Sunday, as we look ahead to a busy slate, you can join us 11:30 and on SNY as well. For Tyler, Kaufman, everybody, enjoy your night. We'll see you later.